So, hi Leo, my name is Chris and this is your reading for 2026. And there's already one card kind of coming out as I'm shuffling the cards, right? And I'm doing the Celtic Cross for you, and this is the center of your Celtic Cross for 2026. Temperance. Okay. Okay, so if you're a decent human being the last few years, we're pretty tough, right? That's just the energy. We're coming from Pluto in Aquarius, which was a big thing. Think of 2008, that was Pluto in Aquarius, right? And from that on, it was pretty much a fight and a struggle for decent people. If you were selling your soul to whatever, whoever, then you might have had a great time. But if you were a decent human being, you were hanging in there, right? And it was quite a fight. And we all took a beating, right? The empaths, at least, the narcissists, were doing the beating. They will just have to answer their calling and their karma, right? But for us, and I'm speaking, when I say us, I mean the empaths, right? I mean the empathic human beings who accept and transcend and integrate their shadow aspects and just wholehearted beings, not bipolar psychopaths, right? Who just try to negate the other side, which doesn't work in duality. Spoiler alert, right? But if you transcended and integrated yourself, if you are a decent human being, basically, 2026 is going to be better. The 7-year circle is ending. Pluto in Aquarius started in 2008. Since, I think, November this year, 2025, by the way. I'm doing this in the end of 2025, this reading. Pluto is now in Aquarius. Thank God for that. Completely different script, right? And this will have an effect. And in 2026, the first time we see the frequencies of the new system, of the new circle, of the new paradigm, so to speak, being more powerful than the old system. And the old system was just struggling and screaming and, hitting around itself and trying to just destroy randomly or whatever frequency did not fit its own disgusting, primitive, low buzzing that it is representing. The foundation is the King of Pentacles. By the way, the crossing energy with the Temperance card is the Four of Swords. So balance, calming down. There's a lot of healing here. Healing with the Four of Swords, letting it sink in, processing what happened, healing, taking good care of yourself. It's very important in 2026 that you just love yourself, be compassionate to yourself, and really take good care of yourself. Be yourself a friend, right? Rest. Really make 8 hours of sleep a thing. Make meditation a thing. Make mindfulness, and mindfulness in the sense whenever your frequency drops, whenever you start to, worry a lot or catastrophize, overthink, right? You can do some breath work. That's super important. You should do meditation, and if it's just 5 minutes, it's not so important how long you do it. The most important thing is that you do it every day. If you never meditated, just sit there for 5 minutes and just sit there, Stand the moment, come back to the moment, come back to your power, because the narcissist and the antagonistic energies always try to divert your attention from the present moment. They want you to tell yourself about stories of guilt. Stories of guilt is always, guilt and blame are concepts that are pointing in the past, right? You can't change the past. You can cry all day about spilled milk, but you can't change the past, right? It's gone. Or Another big thing about the antagonistic energy is to entangle you into horror stories about the future. So again, diverting your energy from the present moment away. You don't want to do this. You want to come back to the moment, and this is your healing practice. Take it as a challenge, right? Temperance and the Four of Swords. That's the center of your Celtic cross for 2026. Protect your inner peace. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The foundation is the King of Pentacles, wealth, abundance, and prosperity. Beautiful. That's just, I mean, that looks really nice, right? King of Pentacles. Yeah, and you're waking up. Hopefully we all wake up. You're freeing yourself from something, and we're going to find out what that is all about, right? Past energy. King of, not the King of Pentacles, King of Pentacles in the foundation, which is pretty solid foundation, right? You want them in your foundation. And how did you get there? You know, you just kept going, you know, whatever the universe was throwing at you basically in the last few years. And if you are a decent human being, that might have been quite a lot the universe has thrown at us, right? And I'm Virgo, by the way, but, you know, we're kind of different signs, very different, you know, constitution and constellation. But if you're a decent human being, it hasn't been easy in the last few years. And what were you doing, right? You were just protecting your stuff, right? You were just keep going. As small and incremental these steps might have been, they will bring you to something that is finally coming to fruition, right? So you're going from the enduring kind of hanging in there but keep going Knight of Pentacles to the King of Pentacles. So in 2026, your career might take off, right? There might be a big chance, a big advance in your financial situation. Looks at least like that. And again, just keep your cool. What do we got here? Yeah. The dirty fight is ending in 2025, but that also means that you have to disengage from the fight. So you can go for justice, right? If there's anything you have to speak your truth about, and do it calm, peaceful, resting within yourself, respecting yourself. Speak your truth, even if your voice is shaking, right? But do not fight. Do not do it from a energy of revenge or hatred or anger. Try to do it in a truth-telling, peace of mind kind of attitude, if that makes any sense. The World card, closure. The dirty fight is ending. Closure with the World card. You got the insignia, by the way, of the old circle. You're bringing this to an end. Whatever it is, right? And whatever you were fighting for, presumably the last few years, right? You're being victorious, kind of, right? But the Five of Swords is this victory where you think, oh my God, was this really necessary? Did I really have to fight this dirty fight? And bringing closure to it, not longing for revenge. If you go for revenge, you're just writing the next chapter of the dirty fight, right? Because narcissists don't just end a fight. So justice, right? Speak your truth even if your voice is shaking, yes. But do not add to the conflict, you know? And sometimes you just have to be done with people, right? Two of Pentacles in the outside position, there will be, here with the Temperance card, that's kind of the same or a similar energy, balancing something out with the outside world. So There's the Two of Wands. You're looking forward to something new. And there's the Moon card, subconscious energy. Bottom of the deck, the Knight of Swords. Underneath that, there's the Victory March. Let's just clarify. So overall, 2026 is looking pretty good, right? So you're going to, that is the big fat news here. The old energies, the old dysfunctional, antagonistic, one-sided, bipolar, Neanderthal frequencies will subside. The frequencies of the new paradigm of decency, of truthfulness, right? Of reason and of compassion, because none of these things were prevalent in the last paradigm. There was just endless war and madness, right? But this 2026 year is pivotal in the sense that the first time for, I don't know how long, it's getting better, right? And you might not instantly realize it, but you might feel it because there's just a more supportive energy, while the energies in 2025 and the last few years were just antagonistic, right? Heal your broken heart. That's just there, right? You're just wise enough. There's the King of Swords clarified by the Four of Swords. The wisdom to use your mind wisely, right? That is this energy of speaking your truth, even if your voice is shaking. Don't allow it to be about it's not about revenge. It's not about anger. You know, if you feel a strong emotion, don't speak your truth. Wait till the strong emotion subsides and till your info capacity of your intellect, of your mind, of your calm, rational mind, and then speak your truth, right? In order for the truth to be heard, it must be spoken with love. That's very important. There is, okay, the Death card clarifying the King of Pentacles, and there is self-love clarifying the Justice card, a Judgment card. So you're waking up, and what you might have discovered during the last few years, through this heartache, heartbreak, through this Three of Swords energy, maybe it's about taking care of yourself. Maybe you have been too nice to people. Maybe they were taking advantage of you. You know, there's such a thing as being too nice, actually. You know, and your heart got broken, but the big lesson here with the Ace of Cups and the Judgment card is to love yourself, right? First of all, you have to love yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you have always the responsibility to take care of yourself. You know, we understand this notion of love thy neighbor as you love thyself, right? And usually we understand it or interpret it altruistically, right? So just be good to other people. Mother Teresa is giving her last skirt for whatever, the poor, right? That is actually very toxic as well, because you are a child of this divine universe as well, right? So you have a responsibility for yourself, for taking care of yourself as well. So if you abuse other people, that is just as bad as abusing yourself by not clearly communicating your boundaries, by saying yes when you actually mean no, things like that. And you might have done that in the past, and boy, oh boy, have we paid for it, right? But now it's a time of healing. You have endured a lot. It's interesting, this combination of the Page of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles actually, and the Page of Cups. So there's something old, very practical that you were doing and that you were enduring, right? And keeping up to these hard times in the past, but there's already something else coming in with the Page of Cups, something unexpected, and you might give that more attention in 2026. There's the Ace of Swords, that's the new consciousness, shows up a lot, you know, you got the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Swords now. The Ace of Swords is clarifying the Five of Swords. So you're coming out of this dirty fight and you learned a lot. You learned to love yourself, hopefully, right? And in 2026, you're practicing self-love, right? So practicing self-love basically means to look at other people and to see what you don't like with them or at them, right? In their behavior. And then seek these traits within yourself. What is triggering you? Right? And is there something you can do to rise above it? You know, in other words, if people don't treat you right, the question would be, why would you attract these people? Why would you end up with these kind of people? Is there something to heal? And usually it's about self-worth, self-respect, having healthy boundaries, not just communicating healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries are not so much about communicating them, because you can tell all day long, right? Oh, by the way, this is my boundary. Please don't overstep it. Bam, they will overstep it, right? So you have to take action and consequences if somebody oversteps your boundaries. So there must be a consequence to that. You have to take action and actually enforce your boundaries, or get out of this situation, get out of this relationship, if indeed someone oversteps your boundaries and is just not respecting you. That also is a form of self-love and self-care. And don't take it personal, there are just too many idiots on this world. And most of them are indeed not smart enough to be as evil as we give them credit for, right? Most of them are just bipolar, retarded assholes who don't know shit about anything. They don't even understand what they're doing, right? So forgive them, Father, for their not knowing what they're doing. That is actually a real thing, right? And most people are just dumb enough to not know what they're actually doing, right? As destructive it is. And for halfway sane people, it's kind of hard to imagine that someone might do such bullshit and not be completely rotten and evil. But they're incredibly stupid people in this world, right? And just to realize that, just to know that, to radically accept that there are people like this out there who just don't know the fuck what they're doing, right? They're doing it with conviction, like all stupid people. They're completely convinced that they're right. You can't change these people. You can only change yourself. You can insulate yourself, not necessarily to isolate yourself, although isolation at times is a good idea to protect yourself, but it's not a long-term solution. So insulation means that you become kind of anti-fragile, if that makes sense to you. Don't take it personally, right? Just accept the fact that there are incredibly stupid people in this world who think they're doing the right thing. And the most popular fallacy is, of course, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? All these people who are preaching the good thing and they want to destroy evil, they're totally like eating all the freaking apples from that tree in the paradise, right? It's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, so it's morality. They don't get it. They just, fundamentalists don't get it. They can't think in dualities. They only understand the one-sided duality. And you can't teach someone that. You can't teach someone a dualistic consciousness who is basically operating on a one-sided dualistic consciousness. You can't teach them to see the other side of it. They will always fight the shadow of their own body, so to speak, right? Not understanding that they cast the shadow themselves. That's just, they don't get it, right? They don't understand duality. You can't teach them duality. And you can't even teach them Trinity consciousness, which is actually the Ace of Cups is Trinity consciousness, right? What is that all about? Well, Google Trinity if you want to know what this is all about. One more and then I'm done with this row, bottom of the deck, the 10 of Pentacles. So there is success, by the way, in 2026 here. You have to work for it, you know. There's the 2 of Wands with the 8 of Pentacles. In the clarifier deck, bottom of the deck, there's the 10 of Pentacles, and underneath that, the 2 of Wands again. So whatever you plan, there will be success in wealth, abundance, and prosperity, in your job, in your money making. You're coming out at the King of Pentacles. So there is success here. You have to give something up in the sense, maybe it is about not taking things so personally, right? Maybe it is about not taking the bait of the narcissist, right? Whenever something is going wrong, you feel like you have a lot of experience in what could go wrong, and just to accept the world as it is, right? Not expecting you from other people, not expecting, you know, the business world, the job world is full of narcissists, full of toxic people. So if you just know that, then the next time someone comes along and is toxic and narcissistic, just realize that these people are there. You can't change them, but you can deal with it, right? And the best way to deal with it, discernment, King of Swords, right? Knowing the lesson and, how do I say this, honoring the lessons that you have learned. The most important thing is to keep a peace of mind, keep your peace, protect your inner peace, basically. True meditation, true mindfulness, true some sort of practice. You can go for long walks, you can meditate, even if it's just 5 minutes. And there's one thing you can do which is very, very healing. 1 in, 2 out. So if you do 5 seconds breathing in, then you do 10 seconds breathing out. Or if you do, maybe you can do 10 seconds. I mean, kind of depends on your lung capacity, right? 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out, 5 seconds in, 10 seconds out, whatever. You get the idea. 1 in, 2 out. That kind of releases a lot of stress and negative energy, and you just give it away, right? Just, you know, give it away. Don't internalize it. Don't take it personally. And there are just shady people in this world. And this idea that good people always get treated well, it's obviously not the case, right? So maybe you have to just radically accept the world as it is. Let's just say it like this. Keep up the good work. Whatever you have begun or maintained throughout the last few years might finally get you somewhere. King of Pentacles is here, 10 of Pentacles. So there is vast abundance and prosperity in the cards, at least. You have to do something for it. You know exactly how to do it, but you have to work for it. But if you do keep up the good work and work for it, there's your 10 of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. Again, don't take things personally. Just accept the way the world is. Have a practice, establish a practice that is very, very important in 2026 to ground yourself. Meditation, breath work, going for walks, that's a start, honestly. If it's just 5 minutes meditation, 5 minutes breath work, you're transforming your life. That's really, really important. No more fighting. The fight is over. You're closing this chapter. Forgiveness is a big word, right? But sometimes you're just sorry, you just disengage basically, right? You're no longer entertaining the conflict, and you're going into this new circle, this new world that you're entering here, a new consciousness, right? After the fight, so to speak. But you are aware, right? You're no longer naive. That's the Page of Swords, right? It has a sword drawn, and it's just, there's a little bit of hypervigilance, but try not to. Hypervigilance is basically that you just see the negative side, try not to do that, but by all means be prepared that the world is full of toxic people. It's just how it is. Balance and the Ten of Cups in the outside position. So maybe you're going to meet good people. There is a real chance here to meet good people. Just don't be naive about it, right? Just don't have any wishful thinking, right? See the world as it is and insulate yourself, right? Don't take it personally. And if we've been to some sort of dark night of the soul, we are kind of tempted to fall for the first smiling face and just think, oh, that's so good. That's just, oh my God, is that good, right? Let's be friends, or right, have an affair, whatever, right? Don't be naive about it. Slow and steady. Pick your people like you pick your fruit. Keep your inner circle sacred. And there is, where there are toxic people, there are also good people. And there's the Ten of Cups. So first of all, protect your home, protect your sacred inner circle. And if you allow someone in, just do that, with small incremental steps. Don't just overshare. Don't just invite someone into your life. Don't just give someone your keys to your apartment or something like that. It's not a good idea, right? You have learned the lessons of the past 7 years or last circle or whatever is here in your past, right? You're smarter than that. And you don't throw out the lessons that you've learned so hard, right? It ends here. The crown of your reading is the waking up basically to self-love, self-care, self-respect, being yourself a friend and really practicing that in your relationships, in your career, most of all towards yourself, in your own behavior, in the habits that you're establishing in 2026, self-care habits, protecting your peace, meditation, breath work, right? Do some yoga, fitness, sport, whatever. And then there's the Moon card with the Queen of Wands. And the Moon card with the Queen of Wands is a kind of interesting combination. So you're kind of manifesting most of the time from your subconscious frequency. So in other words, if you're stressed, you're kind of, your frequency, your inner field is kind of disturbed, right? And there's a disharmony in that frequency, subconscious energy, and you're kind of showing this disharmonic frequency into the world, and it will kind of be reflected back to you. So in 2026, it's very important to be aware of the fact that you are manifesting primarily from your subconsciousness, and that's why it's so important. Sometimes life stings, right? You have experienced that, right? So I just had to blow my nose, sorry. That's the Pendragon Sword. That's the Blue Angel Oracle card. And I love that. I think it showed up in, I think it was I'm not even sure. I think the Taurus reading probably. Balanced power. This consecrated sword represents balance, power, and wisdom, qualities bestowed only to those who have earned them. This is a coming of age for you. Much can be accomplished now with relative ease, provided you remain balanced and grounded. That's really the center of your Celtic cross here. Balanced and grounded. Temperance card, 4 of Swords, healing your broken heart, and just trust your inner discernment, right? You know what is what, right? Trust yourself. Trust your discernment. Trust yourself. Heal your inner broken heart. There's the 3 of Swords clarifying temperance, right? So, yeah. And having a self-care routine, really make it a practice. Much can be accomplished now with relative ease, provided you remain balanced and grounded. You are bestowed the power of the dragon, ruler, king, and magician. This great honor and privilege is also a great responsibility. You can hold this power indefinitely for as long as you honor, respect, and use it wisely. Okay, so yeah. Radically acceptance, a lot of healing, and then centering the year around self-care and healing. And from that, you kind of find that inner spark, right? That kind of radiates your frequency, or how do I say this? That kind of radiates your, or sparks your inner light, whatever I say. That's pretty much the Queen of Wands with the Moon card, right? You have to work something, so you have to work for your success. You have kept going with this Knight of Pentacles thing, and alongside the Knight of Pentacles there is the Page of Cups. So maybe you have 2 things that you do either simultaneously, or 2 aspects of what it is that you have been doing. Keep doing that and make sure it is not just work, but there needs to be a little passion and there needs to be joy in what it is that you're doing. That's self-love, that's self-care as well, right? There's a little heaviness to it because, right, healing, dirty fight is ending, and your consciousness, you kind of grow up, you level up in consciousness, right? You have learned a few things about the world. Maybe you didn't really ask for it, maybe you did, but you certainly learned it, like most of us, right? And if you come out of this with a deeper understanding of self-love and self-care, and really practicing that on a daily basis, meditation, breathwork, I just recommend it all day long, right? You don't need a narcissist-free world. You can just navigate the world as it is. And if you find a little bit of joy and happiness in that, that's basically here at the end of 2026, where you might find that, and where you might finally, it's a great reading. Let's not forget that. Waking up, King of Pentacles, there's wealth, abundance, and prosperity here. So much wisdom and discernment and self-care and self-love. The opposite of being naive, radically acceptance, the world as it is. There are good people, right? Just don't be too enthusiastic when you meet the first smiling face that looks like a good person. They are covert narcissists. Google that. So just realize that the world is how it is, right? And don't be naive about it, but everything looks pretty good. Yeah, it's a year where it finally goes up again. And that's all I got. It's a little heavy, but that's how it is. And I hope you resonate with it. If you do resonate with it, let me know about it. Leave me a comment, right? Share, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about it, and that's all I got. Hopefully see you next year, right? January reading. Namo Buddhaya, my friend. Ciao.